It's squirrel time. Where?
It's never a bad time for squirrel time.
There it is. Hey, how's it going?
There it is. There's the squirrel.
How is it going, folks? It's time for another edition of Rebel Rock Radio. This is episode number 190. And tonight we are going to be talking about Chapter 1 of The Mandalorian. Today is the 5-year anniversary of the day that The Mandalorian premiered for us on Disney Plus. So we are celebrating that. Interesting little fun fact, if you did not know, The Mandalorian is actually the reason why this podcast even exists. Me and Charlie Kirby, who has been on the show as a guest lately, within the last few months, he and I put it together when The Mandalorian was coming out. I had done podcasts before, but never did a Star Wars podcast. So he and I came up with the idea of
no better reason to do one. Come on.
Yeah. All right, so we got some folks in the chat. So let's see who is in here already. We've got Matthew from Enid. How's it going, Matt?
Matthew?
We've got Taco Cat. How are you,
Mr. Taco Cat?
We've got Spencer. Good to see you back. We have Isaac. And I don't think either one of us is your grandma. We have Steve, who is affectionately known as Steve2 in the Discord. And Joy is also with us.
Good evening, Joy.
Good to see you again. And we are going to talk some Mandalorian. But before we do that, we've got a lot of other stuff going on prior. Do have some
housekeeping
to take care of. That's a good way to
we have some housekeeping announcements for you fine folks.
Announcements, yeah. We are making some format changes here on Rebel Rock Radio. After discussion with several regular listeners and just amongst JD and myself, first change that is going to become very
apparent.
Yes. We are not going to be playing music on the show anymore. Thought about it long and hard and decided, although it did kind of
break up the monotony
us from other podcasts, we just decided that it is something that kind of became unnecessary. I do have another podcast that I do from time to time called Radio Unfriendly. So if you were enjoying the music that we were playing, I will most likely be playing the type of stuff we were playing here, over there. And when those episodes get recorded, then I will promote them via the Rebel Rock Radio social media.
Mm-hmm.
In any case, big change. We're not playing music anymore. Smoking Bear! How's it going, sir?
And just for a little bit of context on that, too, just to feel like it's just so that way you folks aren't left at the dark as to why we aren't playing it anymore. We and Steve talked about it. When, like you said, we talked to other people about it, and we felt like that the show, not only it was something unique, but The other problem you have to understand is that Steve puts in a lot of work with trying to, when he gets music from other people and things like that, he gets to put these albums together. He gets to put these things together and he puts them on the show. He decides what music goes on the show and it becomes a part of it. But the thing about that is it's incredibly hard to prove to YouTube that we have permission to play these songs. And it's a lot of work for him.
Yeah, so a lot of times I will get messages on YouTube that an episode has been blocked. Meaning that there are a lot of people out there that can't watch it.
Mm-hmm.
After
and it even kind of dents the algorithm a little bit to say that they won't show it to other people or they won't advertise it to other people because the music that we play, we can't go to each and individual band and say, hey, did you give us permission to do this? And for Steve, that would be an overwhelming amount of work.
I would have to get it would come down to I would have to actually get the record label and or the band to mail me or email me a notarized permission, basically a notarized permission slip to send to YouTube, and it just becomes a big pain in the ass.
Mm-hmm.
So we're just not going to do it anymore.
Mm-hmm. Because we enjoy talking to you folks. We enjoy doing all these things and having conversations with all you folks. But at the same time, when it's a incredible amount of work that it is to try to incorporate the music into it, it becomes almost an unbearable task. And I completely understand what what Steve's talking about because he has to do all that work. Because I don't get any of that stuff. I don't do any of that stuff. He puts all that together. I don't get to do that, and I wouldn't know how to help him to do all those things. Otherwise, I would make it work so we could. So unfortunately, like Steve said, he has another podcast that does music and talks about music and things like that. But for now, until something changes in the algorithm when it comes and the rules when it comes to YouTube, unfortunately, as far as the music aspect of the show, we're going to be cutting that out for now to be addressed at a later time.
Speaking of addressed at a later time, Spencer, you mentioned something. We need rocks, literal rocks, to make the show Rebel Rock Radio. We have mentioned in private conversation with JD and I the idea of changing the name of the podcast, but I'm not sure if that's going to happen. The idea has been discussed. We'll just throw it out there. I'm not sure.
If we keep it the same, we can justify it because technically it's talk. We could be talk radio.
Yeah.
So, but it's what everybody knows. Everybody knows Rebel Rock Radio.
Yeah.
I'm in favor of keeping it that way, and we both kind of discussed it and thought that wouldn't be a bad idea. We also tried to come up with different names and different ideas if we were to change the name of the show. I think for now we should just keep it the way it is.
So even though the name doesn't 100% correspond with what we're doing, it's really a matter of branding. And if we were to change our name, we'd be basically changing our brand and
changing the stickers, changing the t-shirts.
We would almost have to create a brand new audience because nobody like what happened to Rebel Rock Radio. What is this show? What
Yeah.
In any case, so the music and
Joy, I got something. I got something for that. I may take a quick move, go get something, and I'll be right back. I got something for that.
Okay. Somebody on the show needs to adopt a crystal fox as a pet to cover the rock monitor.
Rock monitor.
Why can't we just have a pet rock as our mascot?
I got plenty of those around. If you want me to go get one, I can go out in the yard and get one.
I can go out in the yard and get a rock, yeah.
No, I can go out and get a rock. Pretty sure I have like fossils and rocks in the house. Yeah. So, yeah.
Anyway, that was all about that. The other one might not be as obvious.
Tina.
Tina! And Tina's in the chat. How's it going? So, Tina, we just mentioned if you were not here when we were describing it, we are no longer going to be playing music on the show. I'm not going to get into why. We can talk about that.
Go rewind about 60 seconds and you'll
That,
understand.
or we can talk about it in our private chat.
In our Discord.
Oh, very good, Joy. We do have to pick out the most rebellious
rock.
Yes.
I like it. I like it.
Okay. So what I was saying, the other change that might not seem as obvious, at least certainly won't seem obvious tonight and probably won't seem obvious for the next couple of months. But we are also going to expand our horizons. Is that a good way to put it?
That's a good way to put it. I think it's a good way to put it.
Well,
so for most of you who know, and for people who talk to us, everybody knows we're huge Star Wars fans. Obviously, we're huge Star Wars fans. And look at Steve's stuff. Steve, Star Wars fan. Me, Star Wars fans. We're huge Star Wars fans. But the thing about it is that we don't want number one. We enjoy other things too. I mean, let's just keep it a buck. We like other things as well. We like other franchises. We like other TV shows. We like other stuff. Star Wars is always going to be our main core. We're probably always going to include Star Wars in some format in our stuff. I'm always probably going to show you new stuff from my collection that has Star Wars attached to it because, frankly, I don't have a lot of room for anything else. And it's always going to be part of our core thing for the podcast. But we also want to try to expand into other things too, like other genres and other trilogies and other things that we enjoy as well.
Yeah, because I mean, we are into other science fiction. Both of us. We are, well, maybe not JD so much, but we're working on it. Getting very interested in comic books. Video games. We like video games. So,
did you see Smirking Bear's comment?
Then we need 2 rocks with beards to. You know what? That's not a bad idea. I wonder if
it's not a bad idea.
I wonder if we could do get AI to create download a picture of us and have them convert it into a rock.
If I don't look like Geode from the High Republic, I'm not going to be happy.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
Oh,
we need 3. We need 3. We need 2 of them with beards for me and Steve, and then we need 1 for the squirrel.
The squirrel could be eating a rock.
Matthew says JD will need a big ass rock.
For the squirrel?
Is that it?
Wait, JD will need a big ass rock? What? I don't get it. What?
He said JD will need a big ass rock.
So anyway, this is going to be, I mean, at some point, it's going to be a more generalized pop culture show, whereas we'll be talking not only about Star Wars, but also about different movies, television, comic books. What else would fall under that umbrella?
Basically, any geek or sci-fi nerd stuff.
Yeah, if it's geek, we'll get you. We got you covered.
We got you covered. Jinx, you owe me a pop.
I don't drink soda though.
There you go, Smirking Bear. He says Squirrel Rock. Rebel Squirrel Radio.
There we go. All right, Jenny, I know how to get you to visit the den sometime.
Heck yeah.
I mean, you can talk to me about it too. I know where to. I know starting points.
At least you guys know where to point me in the right direction. See, you need to do what we do with like the books, Steve. It's like you say, you need to read this book and then we'll do a review of this book. You say, hey, JD, read this comic and tell us what you think of it. And I can honestly give you an unbiased opinion because I have never read the previous comics because I know that for sure. At least I'm 100%, 99% positive. And then you go, read this comic and tell us what you think.
So another idea that we had for the name, completely random, Squirrel, was actually Squirrel Mode.
Scroll mode.
Squirrel Mode Radio was one of the ideas that we had. I think that's Ro. Hey, Ro, how's it going?
Hey, Ro.
Good to see you. We're just jibber jabbering about our format changes. Let's see, where was I? Oh, what I was going to say, because we were talking about comic book Squirrel.
Yeah, Spencer, that's good. What if you get into reviewing the modern Star Wars comics? That is a very good
We could
possibility.
do that.
If somebody points me in the right direction, I can sure do it.
Well, we got some new ones that just started. Also, one of our early access for patrons series that we just started, it's Blue and I that are doing it. It's called the Bat Cave, where we talk about Batman, anything that has to do with Batman, basically. We've got 2 episodes out right now that I'm pretty sure they're both on YouTube now because they've been, because we started out as just on the Patreon, and so it's early access for patrons, and then it eventually goes to the YouTube channel. But I think both of the episodes are on YouTube now. But our next episode, speaking of reviewing comics, we are going to be discussing the comic book Batman Year One. So that'll be Spencer.
What do you think? The butt case. Jeez. Right.
Yeah. Anyway,
Love you, Spencer.
Matthew, I'll get into that. Let's say it's a definitive. I have no idea.
Okay, I'm gonna be. Okay, somebody. What is Blue Sky?
It's an alternative to Twix.
Oh, okay. There are so many. We're going to narrow that down a little bit.
It is one of the what seems to be one of the more popular ones right now, at least among Star Wars fans. A lot of Star Wars Twitter has migrated over there.
Mm-hmm.
So,
probably less being attacked by other people, I would imagine.
Yeah. It's a little bit more. It's a little more friendly.
And see, I've heard of Threads. Now, see, somebody said Threads. Yeah. I've heard of Threads because I have Facebook, Instagram, and Reddit, and Twix, and that's it. Those are the only ones I've got. Now, I've heard of Threads. People keep saying Threads wasn't a bad one, wasn't a bad alternative.
No, it's not bad.
I have not jumped to Threads yet.
But Spencer is right. Those are the two main alternatives.
Hey, you Baldo.
A lot of folks are going to Blue Sky. It's a lot more chill. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. That's cool. As far as Rebel Rock Radio leaving the platform, not right now. You all right?
Yep, good.
Yeah. I don't know. Still thinking about it. Haven't really talked about that much, but we use it a lot as a promotion tool. We used to get a lot. We used to get a lot of viewers, like when we first started doing it on if you want to call it Twitter Live. I don't know if they have a name for it, but it's kind of diminished over the last couple of months, which leads me to believe there are fewer people on the platform with which to watch. So not really a topic that I have dove into with JD. Don't want to do too many changes at once. But yeah. So along with the change of not playing music, we are adding, and technically this is re-adding a segment that we did a long time ago, actually before JD was even on the show, is a news segment. So we're going to do our news segment where if anything over the week happens that is newsworthy, so to speak, we will talk about it. So we do have some news today. However, now that we've gotten all the housekeeping out of the way, as far as talking to you folks about our format changes, JD, what have you been up to this week?
Let's see, man. Heavily enjoyed a great new episode of Twilight of Vacante, or Vacanta on Thursday night. Is a great episode for those of you who don't know. And if you're not a part of our Patreon, we do have a Star Wars tabletop game going on that is what do they call that? DM'd? Is it DM'd or MC'd or how do they explain that? How do they say that?
GM?
GM'd?
Yeah.
GM'd by Steve. And I myself, for those of you who don't know, I play a part in the game. I am a pilot, a rather trigger happy pilot who may or may not enjoy the libations of spice. And for those of you who are seasoned D&D players, if you want to see a complete backwards rookie try to play a tabletop game that is Star Wars related, think about joining our Patreon and watch our episodes of Twilight of Vacante. Is it Vacante? Vacanta.
You do fine.
Vacanta.
You do fine.
Because we have a great time. There may be some fourth wall breaking. There may be some Easter eggs. There may be some rather hilarious in-game and out-of-character conversations that we'll have. Let's see. What is it? Smirking Bear says, JD, user or abuser? I am only a user. And it's not JD. It's my guy. Vexar is the pilot name. Vexar is a recreational user of spice.
He also owes somebody a lot of money.
So the GM says.
Star Wars spice. It is.
If you want to know more if you want to know more context, you'll have to watch our episodes. They're fun. They're a good time. There's the five of us. There's four players, and then Steve is our GM. And it's a good load of fun. It's great. And like I said, you watch me fall all over myself as I try to play this game. It's a good time. So yes, yeah. So that was my Thursday night. That was awesome. That was good times. Veterans Weekend. I was actually on standby for work, but I actually did manage to squeeze in a rather good dinner with my daughter. We introduced her English boyfriend and a couple of her friends from her soccer team to what is sous vide cooking. For those of you who don't know what sous vide cooking is, you should look it up. It's a little hard to explain. But I sous vide some steaks for them and cooked them in a butter bath after they were done and seared them. And we had a great dinner on Sunday. Participated in a parade on Saturday. I was in a veterans parade on Saturday for my company, and actually got to sit back and kick back and relax on Monday. So that was a lot of fun.
Very cool.
Yeah. So, and let's see. Yeah. So, yeah, that was my weekend. Or that was my weekend, that kind of thing. So, how about you, Steve? How was yours? Yeah.
It's been a rough week.
It went that well.
Tuesday, we did our show, and Wednesday morning, about 9-ish, 10-ish in the morning. I can't remember exactly what time. I got laid off from my job. We won't get into why. I have speculations. They did not give me a reason. They
And
just said my position was eliminated.
mhm.
Um, I have some very highly educational speculation on why, but we won't get into that here. So I am unemployed, and so I've been unemployed for almost a week now, and it sucks. Um, so it's been a rough week. Um, I haven't really done a whole lot. I've been playing video games, looking for work primarily. Um, um,
Exactly, Smirking Bear.
yeah, what have I done? Jesus. Looking for work. I have played
I
video
don't know. I don't
games.
know. I don't know about you, Steve, but I'm sure the chat will agree with me that sitting at home and playing video games all along and not having to be anywhere would be a lot of fun. Now, it doesn't make you any money, but it would be a lot of fun.
No, no. Well, and usually that is stuff that is done after working hours, regular working hours, because I spend most of my day sitting on here looking through all the various job sites and trying to find a job. Um, so yeah, I really haven't
Revolve,
done.
Ubaldo, you're recovering from surgery, buddy. What surgery did you have?
And while we're waiting for that answer,
Mm-hmm.
um, hope you're doing well.
Yep.
I've been.
Anyway,
Well,
go ahead.
Thursday, yeah, Thursday we did our Star Wars RPG. Um, last night, because I forgot to watch it on Sunday, I watched the season finale of The Penguin.
Hmm.
So if you haven't watched that, I definitely recommend it. It's a good. Now, to be fair, if you didn't like the 2022 Batman movie, you might not like this show because it's a spin-off of the movie. Um, so yeah, there's only 8 episodes in the first season. They're an hour long. Uh, it's a good show. Yeah, Dune Prophecy. I saw a trailer for that. I definitely want to see that. Okay, so Ubaldo, you had your
Gallbladder,
had
25
your
minute, and it became a hernia.
hernia. So you had a hernia operation.
Oh,
That sucks.
well, we are very glad that you're recovering, Ubaldo, and
Yeah,
hopefully you continue to recover well, buddy. Cheers.
definitely. Smirking Bear has never watched the 2022 Batman movie. Oh, okay. They removed the gallbladder.
Mm, okay.
I was confused. Um, but yeah, Bear has never seen the 2022 Batman movie. I enjoyed it. I thought it was great.
It was.
We did an
I thought it was.
episode on that. Gosh, how long ago was that? That was what were you getting ready to say?
I think I remember us doing an episode on it, and we discussed how we really liked it. Got back to a more basic Batman, more investigative Batman. So more
Were
the
you talking about
investigation style, the more detective comics. I don't know. We might have mentioned it like in a Batman discussion that we had.
it? Maybe. Because I know there was when it like around the time it came out, we actually did an episode. Where the hell is that? When did that come out? Okay,
We
on
did it. We
2022. Yeah.
did something on Batman, and I think it might have been the original Michael Keaton Batman, was it? Is that what the episode we did on?
Hold that thought. I'm trying to find. Okay, so we did a review of the 2022 Batman in March of 2022. So that was
Oh,
way
okay.
before you showed up.
Right.
But I'm looking at everything that we've done since you've been on board. Dun, dun, dun. Where is it at? Did in Star Wars? Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Well, yeah, we did a episode number 165 was called The Hero Gotham Deserves. And now I can't remember what that one was actually
Dark
about.
Knight. I think it was about the Dark Knight.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
Let me see. I'm looking at our YouTube channel, which you folks should do. And subscribe to it. All that good stuff.
We have 222 subscribers.
Yeah.
We promised we wouldn't ask for more, but if you know people or you want to subscribe, we'd sure appreciate it.
Oh, I'm going to keep asking for more.
Come on, people. Let's go.
Okay, so The Hero Gotham Deserves was the Dark Knight trilogy. So we talked about the Dark Knight trilogy. However, right about the same time, we also did an episode we titled This Town Needs an Enema, and it was about the 1989 Batman movie.
Mm.
So I'm sure that the 2022 Batman ended up in that conversation somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Yeah, I know we've discussed it. I know we've talked about it.
Yeah. I agree, Tina. When it was first announced, I was like you, I was not on board. I'm like, no.
No, because the
Absolutely
first
not.
thing I thought of was a glittery Batman.
I was like, no, 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 no. But I was like, it's Batman. I'm going to give him a chance. Then I went and saw it on opening night, and I was like, God damn it, that was good.
The only one I think I've ever given real shade to was George Clooney.
I still think that Val Kilmer was not great in that role. But that's just me. All right,
Man,
so
yeah.
that was our week. So now we are going to open up this new revisited segment. We'll come up with a better title later, but for now, we'll just call it Nerd News.
Nerd News.
Nerd News. Now, this isn't so much news. This first piece is not so much news. It is kind of news, as it is. We are announcing something that, at least on my part, I'm not going to speak for JD, but I am very excited about. But Lucasfilm has confirmed the release date, or the premiere date, rather, for Andor Season 2. It is going to be out on April 22nd, 2025. I'm just saying I didn't want to speak for you.
Why would I not? Have you seen some of the production photos?
Yes.
And for those of you who have not, maybe we need to drudge some of those up, because if you're not excited, because number one, K2SO, and
Andor Season 2.
number two, TIE Interceptor with Andor in it, who wouldn't be excited?
It is going to be so good. Tony Gilroy is back as the showrunner, so that's more good news. He is actually going to be writing the first 3 episodes. From what I understand, what I've read, there are going to be 12 episodes total. Main cast is coming back. K2SO is coming back. Ben Mendelsohn is going to be in it as Orson Krennic. So cast is going to be great. But yeah, we're looking at April. So yeah, it's going to be comprise 12 episodes structured in 4 blocks of 3. There will be a 1-year gap between blocks. So every 3 episodes will follow a concentrated set of events that will ultimately lead up to Cassian Andor going to the Ring of Kafrene at the beginning of Rogue One. This is all coming from, I got my news release from StarWarsNews.net.
Nice.
That is a great idea. There we go. There it is right there. Smirking Bear. Nerdgasm.
That is
Nerdgasm.
Nerdgasm News, maybe, just so that way
No,
people know.
nerdgasm. Just
Nerdgasm
nerd.
News. Oh God.
So
Oh God.
Andor season 2 coming. Thoughts? Chat room has already given their thoughts. Everybody knows.
Hmm. I even saw a screenshot of Mon Mothma and Orson Krennic having a conversation. I want to hear that conversation because it'd be fun. And I'm excited because if we get K2SO thrown in the mix, we see Orson Krennic again, we're going to get more of those Rogue One vibes. I'm excited. I think it's great. And especially if they like the last set is like building right up to Rebel or right up to Rogue One.
Spencer.
That's
I
we'll
don't know about that.
we will never be able to actually claim that we give out child friendly or safe for children content if we call it nerdgasm.
That is true.
Yeah.
Yeah, fans of Rogue One, fans of Andor should be excited. It's going to be great.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be awesome. Also, there was a Disney Plus teaser thing that came out.
Mm-hmm.
It did show a scene with Andor talking with Luthen.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be good to see that. Spencer, no, this show is not meant for children.
No, it hasn't up to this point, but we may need to change that too,
Have we ever been
just to
kid
keep it,
friendly
just to
or
keep it a
family
little
oriented?
bit.
Not really.
No, we haven't.
I
No, we really
mean,
haven't.
I'm pretty sure that went out the door like around the time, or maybe even earlier than us talking about coffee enemas.
I knew that was going to come up. I knew that was going to come up every time. Within a few, just every once in a while, the coffee enema always rears its ugly head like in a horror movie. All of a sudden,
Yeah. So next piece of news. Tell you what, let me. I'm going to throw this in the private chat. JD, tell me if you want to go ahead and fill this one.
okay.
What?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Rears? What? What?
Hashtag rears. What the hell? Oh, enema in the rear.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah. At least I think
Double
that's what
lock
he's talking
radio.
about.
Double
I
lock
could be
radio
way
up
off
the
base, but
rear.
oh yeah, I think we should definitely talk about that because that's exciting. That's good news. I mean, it's good that they're looking forward to a new trilogy.
So
Oh yeah.
do you want to talk about that one, or do you want me to take the lead?
Damn, I forgot the guy's name. Uh, what the heck was his name?
I just emailed
So,
you the link.
oh, you emailed me the link?
Oh well, here in the private chat. You know what? Let
Well,
me send it over to you. Let me send it over to you toward
what
Discord.
is it? Simon Kinberg. That was his name. I didn't want to butcher the name. Sorry.
There you
Didn't
go.
want to butcher the name. Simon Kinberg, who, if a lot of you are not aware, I guess he has X-Men pedigree through Fox and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's not been officially announced. I think it hasn't been officially through Lucasfilm announced, but they have signed him to write and produce the next Star Wars trilogy. So that's cool. That's exciting news. And there's rumors. I don't like to say for sure that we know this for sure, because if we haven't heard it from like an official source, so I
So
always like to say,
the press release that I got was from StarWarsNews.net.
oh, okay,
Now where
okay,
they got their information, I don't know.
yeah. See, and that's the thing is that it's like I said, I hate to say that it's official or anything like that, because especially if it's not an official announcement from StarWars.com or from Lucasfilm, that it's an official press release. I hate to like say for sure that that's the case. And a lot of the information obviously is speculative, because we know that they're coming out with a new Rey movie, but whether it's called the New Jedi Order or the New Order or what it's called, we don't know. We have no idea yet what it's actually called. Um,
Well,
so
whoever Boris Kit is, he posted. I'm assuming that this is on Twitter. Uh,
mhm,
that it is a new story focused on new characters.
right, right.
So what
So
does
I
that mean?
mean, obviously, we're very early in that. If they just signed a new writer for it and they've tasked him to write 10, 11, and 12, we don't know anything about the story yet. We don't know what timeline we're talking about. We don't know any information yet. Everything that you hear is probably going to be straight up rumor and speculation. And so, I mean, you take everything you can with a grain of salt. And the only personal addition to the information that I'm going to throw out there, Ryan Johnson, um, who we can speculate as being the director, Ryan Johnson. um, so we don't know. Now I can't speak for Steve on that one. I can't speak for Steve on that one because I don't know. Yes, I agree, Matthew. We do need some good movies in theaters. We need to do that. And I was looking at a comment earlier, and I think it was who was it? Smirking Bear or somebody who said it?
They're long
Um,
overdue for a Star Wars movie.
no, well, somebody in the chat earlier, and I can't think of who. I'm trying to look back and see who said
Animals
it.
for everyone.
Animals
Uh,
for everyone. But they're talking about Andor season 2 being the only show scheduled for
oh
next year.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'll be honest with you. I want more Star Wars content. I really do. I'm not happy that we've come to this point, but I almost think it's much needed. I think we kind of need to take a break from it. I think we need to kind of slow down. We do need to get back to making movies. We do need to get back to seeing Star Wars on the big screen so people can get excited about it. It would generate some really good movies on a good format with some good storylines. I'm excited for the Rey movie. I'm excited for the Mandalorian Grogu movie, and now this new trilogy that they're planning. Like I said, it's really too early to understand or know what kind of what timeline we're looking at. But the reports that are coming out are saying that it is in fact a trilogy that is going to focus on new characters. It's going to be a 10, 11, 12 trilogy. Let's hope that this time they learned from any perceived mistakes that they made. And I say perceived because depending on who you are, you perceive those mistakes differently. Let's hope that they've kind of taken a page from the sequel trilogy and taken those perceived mistakes and decided to let one writer, one director, one producer go through and do the whole thing, just so that way we have a consistent storyline through all three, and people can't say, "Well, it was a jumbled mess." No, it was a consistent storyline through all three. This is what we got, blah 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 blah, and go from there.
All right. What else do we got next? We got a new High Republic era audiobook has been announced.
Nice.
It is releasing this month in November. It is called Seeds of Starlight. and it is the first of a two-part audiobook releasing exclusively on Audible. Written by George Mann, and it takes place on the planet Iram, where the wreckage of the Starlight Beacon lies half submerged. And
Nice.
it focuses on two Jedi Padawans from the novel Escape from Valo, along with a brand new character, another Padawan by the name of Cam Linden. And here is the story synopsis. When people start going missing on the oceanic world of Iram, one Jedi Master and three Padawans are all that the Jedi can spare to investigate. Upon their arrival, the Jedi quickly realize there is more at stake than they could possibly have imagined. A dangerous threat has emerged from the crashed Starlight Beacon beneath the ocean depths, and no one is safe, not even the Jedi. So, High Republic fans, audiobook fans. So yeah, this is not, from what I hear on this press release, will not be, at least for the foreseeable future, will not be in print. It'll just be an audiobook.
That's cool. For people like me who love audiobooks, that's an awesome thing.
I know. Yeah.
It's actually good motivation.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that'll work. Cool.
Matthew says they should make another season of Kenobi and turn it into a 3-hour movie.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be down for a Kenobi for something in that era. It'd just be interesting to see what they would tell and how extensive they want to get with it, given the events that already happened between the original Obi-Wan Kenobi show and, like, say, A New Hope, where he shows up again. You know, how extensive do they want to get with it? How do they want to do it? You know, what the story. I mean, anything is possible if you've got a good storyline. I enjoyed the Obi-Wan Kenobi show. Some of you may not have. I enjoyed it immensely. I thought it was good.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, I'd be down for something else like that. But yeah. I really do, though, think I'm kind of glad, if that's the case, that all we're getting is Andor season 2 next year, and then movies the following year and concurrently after that. I think it's a good thing. Like I said, I don't think there's going to be anything wrong with kind of giving a break to the small screen stuff and getting back to the large screen. And I don't know, not necessarily saying that they need to up their content quality. It's just that maybe people who are criticisms and saying that they're doing too much too fast. There could be some plot to that. It could be a very good way of looking at it. But then again, you can't make everybody happy, because me, I'd be happy with 3 shows a year, even if they're not. I mean, I want them to be good shows, obviously, but more Star Wars content is more for me to add to the repertoire of Star Wars content that I already have. Or not repertoire, but the catalog of Star Wars content that I already have. If I don't necessarily like it, it may not be for me. And I'm really hoping that Skeleton Crew, every time I see something new with it, it's always looking better and better. So I'm really kind of hoping that that's the case, and that it's going to be a nice little shift and something a little different for Star Wars. But then again, that's what they tried with Acolyte, and
Yeah.
it didn't work for some people. I mean, let's be let's be Midland about it at the very least. It
I mean,
didn't work for some people.
of all the movies that have been announced, the one that I'm most looking forward to is the James Mangold one.
Yeah.
Dawn of the Jedi type movie.
Yeah, I agree.
Really looking forward to that.
Mm-hmm.
I have another piece of Star Wars news. It actually just hit my news feed, so I'm kind of still reading through it. It has to do with the Simon Kinberg
They have like an update.
trilogy, but So Ray is expected to appear in several of the feature films that are in development, though they
Who
are
is?
unable to confirm which ones. Okay,
Who was it?
this is on StarWarsNews.net again.
Uh,
Um, according to some report from the Insider, she is supposed to be fulfilling a mentor type role.
I heard that somewhere that she was going to be fulfilling like an Obi-Wan Kenobi style
Yes.
role in the movies, and they won't deal with her directly. She will just be a more take on a more of a, yeah, like you said, a more teacher slash mentor role in some of these movies.
Yeah, so the article also says Lucasfilm is currently working in parallel on multiple storylines that take place in multiple places at multiple times. Well, that sounds
Hmm.
like a clusterfuck right there. That might
Well,
be
and
what
also, we have to understand, and it's the same. It's just like I said earlier. We have to understand that this is potentially third party information.
sure.
Being that it's third party information, don't take it as credible information. Don't take it as this is writ or gospel. This is simply just information that we're getting third hand and
Yeah,
even fourth hand coming from us. We're just relaying what we've heard. We're relaying what information that we've got from different websites. But those websites, again, are also third party sites. There's no official press release from Lucasfilm about anything that any of this information. It's just coming in. It's been reported by multiple sites, so we don't know for sure.
yeah,
But then again, I mean, when they said the Acolyte was canceled, that was reported by everybody, and we've never heard anything official from Lucasfilm other than it was only slotted for one season, and they decided not to pick up the option of the second season. That's all we know, and even that is not confirmed, to be honest.
yeah. Interesting. Okay, last piece
Well,
of news.
It says Spencer says the news came from THR, from people that are close, or from Lucasfilm that spoke out.
What is THR? What are you talking about? Is that maybe I? Oh, the Hollywood Reporter. Okay,
The Hollywood Reporter.
okay. Um,
But even still, they may have hired the guy, but they don't. Yeah, the Hollywood Reporter. Yeah.
yeah,
So even still, you're talking about third party information. There's just not enough. Like I said, it's not an official press release. It's just coming from one magazine. So, and then people on the internet just go wild with it, and they just start adding crap into it or anything like that. So you just have to be careful about what you look at and what you believe as far as what information is going to be true and correct about what exactly is going to be happening as far as the movie's concerned, what the context is going to be, who's going to be in it, directors, things like that. We just have to listen and wait for future information. And I'm kind of hoping, since I'm going to Japan in April, I'm kind of hoping there might be some official releases from Lucasfilm as far as information is concerned. And you guys will get that. You here guys will get that direct from Japan because, like I said, I'll be there and I'll be able to share some videos and hopefully share some information with you about what goes on and what's being announced in Japan while we're there. So, yeah.
yeah, cool. Last piece of news that I came across. There isn't really a whole lot of detail here, and this is actually not Star Wars related. So there's your non-Star Wars topic for the day. Matt Reeves is in talks with HBO for more Batman spinoffs. According to the article, he has been talking to HBO about expanding what he is calling his Batman epic crime saga. So the spinoffs, based on this information, what little information we do get, it is going to be concentrating on Batman's rogues gallery. So they've already done the Penguin, and he said, "Who knows what's next?" So um, that's really the extent of the detail that I've got.
That's
Uh,
actually kind of cool if you think about it. because you get to introduce, but it's in his universe.
Yeah,
But you get to introduce new and exciting characters that that you actually get to tell a backstory, or you get to establish some type of pedigree for these guys, and then you introduce them, say, into a Batman movie where Batman gets involved, and then it becomes a huge cinematic thing because people actually know what they're looking at, which is
yeah.
cool.
Agreed, Bear. I am also looking forward to Brave New World and the Thunderbolts.
I'm looking forward to both.
Yeah,
I'm looking very forward to both.
absolutely.
Yep,
Absolutely.
100%.
All right. That is it
I
for
actually
news.
like.
We'll have
I
some more.
actually like. I actually like. On a side note, I like Falcon's the transition that he made into Captain America, and I love his new wingsuit. And I found when I was on vacation, I found a toy store that had the Captain America Civil War outfit in Hot Toys or Sideshow Collectibles. And
Mhm.
then right beside it was the new Sam Wilson Captain America wingsuit with the shield, the whole thing. I thought about buying them and putting them side by side and having that as a display. So I almost did it, but I think if I was looking at it correctly, the place that was selling it was actually a little high on their price, so I didn't. I didn't
Yeah.
buy it. Yeah.
All right. Now it is time for a little bit more housekeeping. Social media. Want to find us on social media? We are on a lot of them. We're on the Facebook, Twix, Blue Sky, Threads, YouTube, Instagram. You can find all those links right here if you are watching. If you are not, it is at bio.link/Rebel Rock Radio. That'll take you to our merch site. That will take you to all our social links. It will take you to our YouTube channel to check out the newest episode. If you have not caught us live, you can check out the newest episode each time it comes out. And you can also visit our Patreon. So if you are not, I do messages via pass? No, we don't use pigeons. So yeah, if you would like to become a part of our patron crew, it is only $2 a month, and you get stickers when you first sign up.
Mhm.
You get exclusive content like our
Twilight of Vakanta.
Viola Ganta Star Wars RPG. You get
Mhm.
early access to other content such as the Batcave and possibly more coming
Mhm.
as the ideas flow.
Mm.
And then you also, of course, get a shout out on our live streams, which we're going to do now. So, to thank those who are already a part of our patron crew, thank you, Dave Brown, Kelly and Chris, Justin Hensley, Charlie Kirby, Chantel, Matthew, and Steve. Thank you for contributing to the cause. We appreciate it immensely.
Thank you to all our Patreons.
Absolutely.
Appreciate you.
So we were also going to do podcast shout outs, but I forgot to put together a list. So maybe we'll do that next week
Mhm.
when I remember. So there's a chat going about the Thunderbolts movie. Spencer said he's not excited for it. Tina says she really liked the Thunderbolts trailer. I did as well. Spencer said maybe the movie will surprise me. Just nothing that I've seen makes me excited, except for maybe more Red Guardian. fair.
Red Guardian I thought was hilarious.
Yeah.
I loved the banter between Kate Bishop and um
The Ghost.
no, from Hawkeye, Natasha's sister.
Oh,
Dang it.
yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Yolanda.
Huh? Yelena.
Yolanda. Yeah.
Yelena. Yeah. The banter between the two of them was hilarious. That was hilarious. I loved that part of Hawkeye, the TV show, the
Mhm.
banter between the two of them. That was hilarious. And so I like her character a lot, and I liked Red Guardian a lot. And I think the two of them going at each other, and then it's throwing U.S. Agent in there, and then if you get Bucky involved, and yeah, I think it's going to be hilarious. I think it's going to be funny. I think they're going to add a good a good era of comedy into it, as well as the action. So I think it's going to be fun to watch. I think it's going to be something good to see. So I'm kind of excited for. I'll let me say I'm excited for the Thunderbolts. I think it's
Yeah.
going to be. I think it's going to be fun. But
Bear
like I
says
said,
Red Guardian is like the drunken uncle everybody needs.
yes, I agree.
Absolutely.
I agree.
Cool. So we'll do some podcast shout outs next week when we're able to remember to put a list together. You know, we actually did things out of order. We were supposed to be doing our show and tell before
I
this.
can do show and tell while we're talking about the Mandalorian because my show and tell is actually
Well,
Mandalorian
let's just
related.
do
So.
show and tell now.
Okay.
It's time for show and tell
Oh, wait. Wrong show.
All right, show and tell time. All right, so you got because I don't really have anything. I got something I will show, but I'm pretty sure that I'm showing it on.
You have something we both have. That's actually a good story because you have something we both have, and we both got it before we knew each other, but we were in the same place at the same time,
We're probably in the same room.
probably in the same room. So you want me to do mine first?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Okay. So, irregardless of how you people felt about Mandalorian season 3, I enjoyed it. It wasn't as good as season 2, but you were never. But we've already had this discussion. There's no way in hell you were going to top season 2 with Luke Skywalker showing up at the end. It just wasn't going to happen.
Yeah.
But one thing I did like that was I thought was pretty cool was Moff Gideon's outfit at the end of season 3, and oddly enough and coincidentally enough, Hasbro decided to release the helmet, and I collect helmets. Will release the helmet of Moff Gideon from the end of season 3. So I have the helmet
Bear.
from season 3. It's the thingy segment. Good Lord. People are going to see this and they're going to go, what the hell is this show about? Nerdgasms and thingies. So I'm going to pull this out for you. Okay. I shouldn't. Okay. God, I shouldn't have said that. We started talking about thingies and I said pull out. That was probably not a good thing to say.
That was probably not a good idea.
Not around you people. So I'm going to remove this from the box so I can show it to you folks because it's in a box. Okay. Dun, dun, dun. Oh, look at that beauty. Dun, dun, dun. Check that out.
Nice.
Moff Gideon's helmet.
It kind of looks like a Batman helmet almost.
Well, you know what I thought of when I first saw it? When I first saw it, it made me think of like a combination of a Mandalorian helmet, but then also like with the spikes on top, like Darth
Mm-hmm.
Maul. Like a
Yeah.
Darth Maul type thing. Like he was honoring Darth Maul by having the helmet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got that impression too.
Yeah. So here you go, people. Oh, this is weird. I can actually see things on this. And my voice probably sounds really weird right now.
Matthew says you should have said whip it out.
No. So check that out.
That's cool.
Everything's got a red tint to it.
Bear said, "Nerdgasm, thingies, and squirrels, the trifecta of Rebel Rock Radio."
No, that's gonna be a thing. Oh my god, that's gonna be a thing.
And Matthew is waiting for the super rare Basil helmet.
The super rare Basil helmet.
Good Lord. So rare, it's not even going to happen.
That won't say it. Yeah, there we go. Okay.
What she said.
So anyway, yeah. So the Moff Gideon helmet from Hasbro the Black Series. So there you go, folks.
Very cool.
Pretty darn cool. And I think I'm not sure. Let me see here. I think it actually might. Yeah, it does. It has. You can put batteries in it, and then it has like a voice changing thing to it, which I'm not going to get into that. But oh, it has a light apparently. That's what it is. It has a light. It has some kind of light. I guess the mask in the front right here, this part of the mask, I guess lights up red. So I didn't bring batteries, so yeah, there you go. But yeah, pretty cool. Pretty darn cool.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So the thing that I was going to show, and I know that I've shown it on here before, which is the thing that he also has that we got at the same time, is a poster relevant to tonight's topic. At Celebration Chicago, there was a Mandalorian panel, which of course was before the Mandalorian premiered, because Celebration was April and Mandalorian was November. So, Bear, Darth Basil.
Yeah. He kind of was.
When you watched the Mandalorian panel, which building were you in? Were you in the actual building where they were doing it, or in one of the satellite buildings?
I was in the building where they were actually doing it.
Okay, yeah, so was I, because I was only like 2 rows behind.
Oh no, I was like way in the back.
No, I was like, I was like second row.
No, I was way in the back.
Yeah, I was very close to Dave Filoni.
I actually, it was kind of funny because I went to the panel. I won the lottery to go to the panel, but they said it was a first come first serve because it was kind of a cluster. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was that.
They clusterfuck. The kids aren't watching.
Yeah, clusterfuck. So it was kind of a clusterfuck, and I think that was the year that they decided to start doing lotteries for things like panels and special convention only Star Wars Black Series stuff and all that kind of stuff. So if you won the lottery, it wasn't that you were guaranteed a certain seat, it was just that you were guaranteed a spot to get in.
Yeah.
And it was first come first serve, and I was guaranteed a spot to get in, but that day I had a couple problems because I was getting something that was exclusive for there, and I had to be in the line for that. But within literally the time that it was supposed to end to get the thing that I was getting, it was time to go in and get in line for the panel as well.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of rushing around, and we actually were able to get in on time, but we were towards the back because we got in late. So yeah.
Yeah, this was the one panel that I knew I really wanted to win to get a seat. So when I did get it, and then I was really close to the front of the line because I waited a while.
I actually the one panel that I wanted to see this one because I was excited about it. They were actually doing something that it had, and I had no idea what the Mandalorian was going to be. I didn't know if it was going to be a Boba Fett type thing. I didn't know if it was going to be, I had no idea what it was actually going to be about. I didn't know. And so I was really excited about context and see what exactly they were bringing to the table as far as Mandalorian were concerned, because it was going to be fun to actually see Mandalorians in action and what timeline it was going to take place in, and so on and so on and so on, and get more information. And the only other panel that I wanted to be a part of is I actually wanted to be in the room for the announcement of the new Star Wars movie, which at the time was Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah.
Which I'm actually kind of glad that I didn't, because I was down on the convention floor and it was absolutely packed full of people. And I've even found myself in a few videos when we were watching the actual announcement of Rise of Skywalker. And I've been in some videos I've seen of people and celebrating. Yeah, that's me.
Yeah.
That's my
So,
ring. My ring doorbell's going off.
interesting story about that morning. I showed up to that one late. So I didn't have a seat
For which one? The Rise of Skywalker?
for the Rise of Skywalker thing.
Oh, okay.
I got there because my plane had just gotten in earlier that morning, and I hadn't gotten my lodging set up yet. And so I got off the plane and I took the train to the convention area, walked down to where the convention was. And it was still, it was still going on. So when I walked in, and it was able to get in, because I had a hard time figuring out which door to go into because it was a clusterfuck down there. When I got in, the trailer that they played for Rise of Skywalker had just ended. Like, I could tell that it had just ended, and I was like, "Well, son of a bitch!"
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, "I missed the damn thing." But that is when. So shortly after that is when Ian came out
Mm-hmm.
and did his "play it again" thing, and
Mm-hmm.
I was like, well, "That's pretty cool." But I did not know, because I knew nothing about Rise of Skywalker. I didn't know Palpatine
Well,
was going to be in it.
nobody even knew the name. Nobody even knew what name they were going to use.
Yeah, no, I had no idea anything about it. But then Ian came out, and I'm like, well, what the hell is he doing here?
Mm-hmm.
And then after he play it again thing, but that was a good weekend. Had a blast.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Mandalorian panel was amazing. I had already heard some things about it, enough that and the number one is about Mandalorian, so I was happy anyway. But based on what I'd heard, I was like, this is going to be good. And I actually talked about it on another podcast that I was doing, where Charlie was the was the guest, and we were talking about Mandalorian. And it was after that episode of that podcast that he and I started talking about, we should do a Star Wars podcast. So anyway, did you have anything else to show, or is that it for show and tell time?
No, that's pretty much it. I have the same poster. It's actually up there on the thing up the top.
Okay.
And I have
On the thing, yeah.
on the thing. It's on the thing. It's on the thing.
I've got a Mandalorian poster of the first season over there. Oh, there. I'm kind of pointing at it now. There.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then right there is another Mandalorian poster.
Mm-hmm.
And that is actually a posterized version of one of my coffee mugs.
Nice. I think I have that. I have that same coffee mug.
The poster probably came out first, but yeah. So whatever. Let's talk about some Mandalorian. About Mandalorian. Yee! Okay, so Mandalorian. Just some quick bits about it. It premiered, of course, November 12th. That is today. November 12th, 2019. So today is the 5th anniversary of
What'd she say?
Bo-Katan's ample peach. So yeah, it was November 12th, 2019. The episode was written by Jon Favreau and directed by Dave Filoni. And takes place 5 years after the fall of the Empire, and a Mandalorian bounty hunter is given a job, a mysterious job, to locate a individual by a they call him the client, but he's essentially an imperial warlord working for, as it turns out, Moff Gideon. Tina, hate to see her go, but Lord, to watch her leave.
Love. It should be. I think it probably should be love to watch her leave.
I could go either way. Tina says Mandalorian has great music and ships. Being shot in the volume. What do you mean by the volume?
Do you know what the volume is, Steve?
Apparently not.
Yeah, so the volume, you have to look it up. It's actually really cool technology. So basically what the volume is that it's a 360 degree room of TVs. And what they do is they shoot all the background for the show, like all the background pieces and everything, like the horizon and and all that kind of stuff. They put all that stuff back in the back on the screens, and then they shoot the scenes on the foreground on the inside. And it's a new effect that Jon Favreau and I think a couple other of the people from ILM came up with. And it's an easier way to set up lighting and do visual effects for the show. So once they get the thing done, you actually have to look it up. It's really cool to see how they do it and how they use it to shoot the shows. And they've used it in that. They've used it in several other shows. It's a really cool piece of technology. For those of you who have not heard about it, or for those of you who have not seen it, yeah, you should really look it up. It's really cool tech that they use for shooting a lot of The Mandalorian. It's good stuff. Really cool stuff.
Very cool. So chapter 1 was called The Mandalorian. And so Joyce saying shoot some of the new series of Star Trek in it. Apparently it makes people seasick while filming.
Yeah, because they'll be moving. I've heard that from some people. Some people said, I think Gina Carano said when she filmed it made her sick.
Cool. So chapter 1, yeah, it was called The Mandalorian. And Pedro Pascal, of course, was the Mandalorian. And this episode also featured Nick Nolte as the voice of Kuel, or however you pronounce that. It also called Carl Weathers, Werner Herzog, and I'm going to butcher this dude's name, Omid Abtahi. He's the guy that played Dr. Pershing. And then also,
excuse me 1 second.
Did the voice. Oh.
I'm back.
Okay. Taika Waititi was the voice of IG-11. And then a couple other ones here. We had Horatio Sands, who is a comedian. He was on whatchamacallit? What the hell is the name of that show? Saturday Night Live. Um, he was the Mithril that we first see in the bar at the beginning of the show.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then Brian Posen, how do you pronounce his last name? Um, actor, comedian, was the speeder pilot that gets swallowed by the big monster. And then Emily Swallow as the armorer. Um, so let's talk about that first scene in the bar. This is the first taste of the Mandalorian, the character that we get. Comes in, steps up to the bar, pisses a patron off because the door opening and closing made him spill his drink. He gets all pissed off and kicks the shit out of them. And and then there's the guy that tries to escape. Doors end up closing on him, so that was a mess. And then it turns out that the guy, the Mithril, that the patrons are harassing, is his bounty. So just the bar scene, just based on the bar scene, we're talking like first 5 minutes of the show. What were your first impressions of this character?
Well, and the bar scene is, I think that's one of the scenes that they showed at Celebration. Isn't that right?
I think it was. At
Yeah.
least
So, I
some of
mean, when I saw that, I was instantaneously like, holy crap, because the only thing he says throughout the whole thing is, I can bring you in warm or I can bring you in cold. After he
yeah,
kicks the crap out of all them guys, he closes the door on the
yeah,
one guy, and then the only thing he does is he looks at the guy who's basically crapping himself and goes, I can bring you in warm or I can bring you in cold, and he starts to go for his blaster.
yeah,
And that set the stage for the whole thing of him just being this. You knew that he was going to be a badass that was going to have to deal with issues, but he was already one of those people that we see right out the gate as being somebody you probably don't want to mess with. But yet he knew that you knew by the context of the show that that's what was going to end up being the case, was something's going to happen that's going to cause this guy to be in conflict, and it's a guy that the last guy you want to be in conflict,
yeah,
which is awesome. And he was like, at the time, outside of Boba Fett and probably a few books and a few other minor contexts, when we really got introduced to him in that scene, it was okay. You're dealing with Mandalorians, and if you don't know what Mandalorians is, now you get to see a badass Mandalorian do his thing. If you
yeah,
know what a Mandalorian is and you understand a little bit about the Mandalorians, you know that these guys were not to be trifled with, and they were people that gave Jedi a run for their money. And it was like, and they didn't have the rules.
yeah,
They didn't have the standards. They didn't have the rules. They didn't have the things to keep them back from doing what they needed to do. And he made that very clear by saying that one line, which is, I can bring you in warm, or I can bring you in cold. I don't care. You can do what I tell you. You can get up and you can come with me, or I can shoot you and I can drag you out.
yeah,
You know what I mean? And if they're direct competition to the Jedi, and they don't care and they have no rules to follow, it's one of those things where, yeah, you're dancing with the devil at this point.
yeah. And you were saying, if you didn't know or you did know about Mandalorians, this show through, I mean, not just the first episode, but throughout the first season, you get a pretty interesting idea, or you get kind of a different
Perspective.
idea about Mandalorians in general,
Mm-hmm.
um, because you just learn a little bit more about them.
Mm-hmm. You get more, and you don't really even get really backstory. You just get more of a a more of a likeness of what they're kind of about, and at least for their sect of Mandalorians, because we find out later, obviously, which I know we're jumping ahead to other stuff, but you find out later that they're actually part of a different
Almost like
clan,
a
if you
cult.
will. Yeah,
Almost like
almost like a cult. Almost like a cult. Basically a cult. Not almost like a cult. I mean, they were basically a cult. And so
um,
they were a different breed of the Mandalorians, and they were very, very to the point. They were very strict about their code as far as what they
mhm.
believed about each other, and you find all this out like right out the gate. So if you didn't know who Mandalorians were, you were like, okay, I'm kind of getting what's going on here.
Yeah, and that's what I was getting at with if you knew something about Mandalorians, you're going to learn something new.
Yeah.
Um, but you don't really get that from the first episode. Uh,
Mm,
but you do get a very good idea of the type of person that the Mandalorian is from this episode.
hmm
The things that you get in here, you get a new planet that we never heard of, this ice planet.
hmm
We get the Navarro, which we've never heard of. We get another planet. Feels and looks a lot like Tatooine, but is not Tatooine. It is called Arvala 7. Um, so we get some cool new planets. Um, we get a cool new ship called the Razor Crest that we've never
mm,
seen before. Uh,
mm.
you're looking for a toy, aren't you?
I knew I had one behind me.
Um, and
It's actually a tiki cup.
oh, very cool. And we get the on Navarro. We get the Mandalorian Coven, or not? They don't call it Coven. What the hell do they call it? They have a name for it. Cohort. No, is that right?
No, it was their. I don't want to say not a conclave. Their. It wasn't a coven. What the hell do they call it?
No, I don't remember.
They called it
Um,
that. And yes, Joy, that is a
but we
geeky
know
tiki,
they're
by the way.
yes, yes.
Yes, that is a
Um,
geeky tiki.
so we get these Mandalorians that are in hiding, and through the deposit, for lack of a better term, that is given to him by the client, we find out that this Beskar metal um, that is very important to Mandalorian culture was gathered in something called the Great Purge, which we at this point had never heard of. Anyway, and then we get Arvala 7. I mentioned is a new planet. Covert. That's right. That's right, Tina. It's a covert.
hmm
Covert. Um, so
It's a very good
really,
possibility, Smirking Bear.
what's that?
But Smirking Bear says, JD, I'll casually drink from my tiki razor crest and get drunk for Thanksgiving.
That's a possibility.
I'm not actually going to be on standby for my work on Thanksgiving, so there's a
Oh,
pretty good
very nice.
possibility of that. Yeah.
So anyway, he
Can't
goes to
double dip.
Arvala 7 and he another thing we learned about this character, like almost right off the bat, is he does not like droids.
Yes.
He has
He hates
something against
droids.
droids. I mean, we find out why for the most part
hmm
later on in the season. But he shows up on this desert planet and he meets up with a moisture farmer. I think he's a moisture farmer. The Ugnaught.
Quill.
Quill, yeah.
Yeah.
I think he's a moisture farmer, but he seems a lot more skilled than a moisture farmer would be. Um,
Hmm.
Teaches him how to ride a blurg, helps him find where his bounty's located, and that's where he has to team up with IG-11,
Hmm.
and they're both looking for the same bounty, and they take out this whole facility entirely of Nyctos. You guys know Nyctos from Travel of Vaganta. Um,
Hmm.
and IG-11 wants to kill. Oh! Before that, so they get through it and they blow up the door to where this thing is at, and then that is when we get the reveal that changes the face of Star Wars forever.
Change the face of Star Wars, change the face of Star Wars merchandising, change the
Yeah.
face of
Yes.
change the face of a lot of things.
And we get the little tiny green big-eared kid who
Figured kid.
at that time was
Who
still called Baby Yoda. Um,
who at the time in the context of the show happened to be 50 years old.
yes.
Yeah, and sparked a viral discussion online about the baby Grogu and stuff.
Yes.
Of course, we have to go back. We have to go back a little bit too, because there's a few things that they reintroduced that we forgot. And one of them, one of the cooler things, and we actually get to see it in later episodes, but we don't get to see it. We kind of get to see it in this, but we get to see it again in other episodes. From the Star Wars Holiday Special, they were actually able to take something out of that fun tragedy that was the Holiday Star Wars Holiday Special, and they brought back the Ambient sniper rifle, his pulse rifle,
Yeah. I mean,
which he uses on the big monster that tries to bring him down on the ice planet.
well, also what they bring out of the holiday special is Life Day.
Yeah, I think they mentioned it, don't they? Yeah,
They do
he
at the very
mentions it.
beginning. The Mithril is saying, I want to visit my family for Life Day," but that's not
Yeah.
going to happen.
Uh-huh.
Spencer says that Baby Yoda is Yoda and Yaddles. I mean, nobody knows. Maybe.
Yeah, Smirking Bear is right though. To say that it says Baby Yoda created a landslide in Star Wars geekdom is an understatement. I agree. You can't look anywhere, anything having to do with Star Wars anymore, and not find, well, as we know him now, as Din Grogu. You can't find him anywhere. And who'd have thought? Who'd have thought back in the day when you saw Yoda for the first time that people would actually get excited over a little green gremlin looking dude with big eyes that everybody would fall in love with?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I would have never thought that. And when I saw that, because I didn't hear the rumors ahead of time, but then again, I was trying to stay away from social media. So that way I didn't
So
hear any spoilers.
my grandson, who was much younger, obviously at the time, would watch this show with his dad, and he always referred to it as the Baby Yoda show. Uh,
Baby Yoda shit.
so yeah,
That's awesome.
so the Baby Yoda thing was something that they did not mention at the panel. This
Oh
was
no,
a huge surprise.
they said they kept such a tight lid on that. It
Yeah,
was insane the security behind they said the security behind when they shot the scene with Baby Yoda in the pram was absolutely insane. I
yeah,
guess if I remember right, I read somewhere that the only people that were allowed in the room when they filmed that scene was a cameraman, the director, and whoever happened to be in the Mandalorian suit that time, and the operator of Grogu. That was it. They were not letting anybody else, and nobody else knew about it. They shot that scene completely separate, and they did not let people know about it.
Yeah.
And I like Matthew's comment. Matthew says Grogu was a cash cow.
He,
What do you mean
he certainly
was?
was. He certainly
What do you
was.
mean? What do you mean was? Still is.
Still is, yeah.
Yeah, not maybe not to quite the effect of when he first came out, but it's still you put baby Grogu on something, and there's a lot of kids that want it. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. In the other room, I can go get it if people want to see it. But I have from Sideshow Collectibles, I have the life size 1:1 scale that they build from the mold that they made Baby Grogu. I have that in the other room.
Baby Yoda had better security than the President of the United States.
Let's not go there.
Uh, yeah.
No politics. No
Um,
politics.
yeah, no politics on here. So, as I
No
mentioned,
politics.
this does take place 5 years after the events of Return of the Jedi. So it was 9 ABY on the timeline. And the reason that they put it in this timeline is because, quite frankly, there was a lot of story to tell in that time period between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens. John Favreau has said that he took inspiration of the series from Western and samurai films, and has even said that the Mandalorian character was inspired and influenced by the Clint Eastwood character, the Man with No Name. That's fair. I can see that.
Yeah.
Lone gunfighter out in the
Hmm.
and much like Lucas was taking inspiration from Western samurai films, Favreau also took inspiration from Western
And
samurai
Filoni. And Dave Filoni too.
and Filoni. Yeah.
Yeah, Dave Filoni. I mean, he basically. I mean, everybody knows if you know anything about Star Wars, and you know anything about the background of Star Wars. Obviously, you know Dave Filoni is basically George Lucas's Padawan. Everybody knows that,
Yeah.
and everything that George Lucas used to make his movies and do his thing when it came to Star Wars, Dave Filoni pretty much took that, copied it, ran with it, and you know, and made and kind of tried to do the best he could, and still is doing the best he can to try to expand on those creative styles that George Lucas used. Whether you agree with it or not, whether you like it or not, is I mean, it's still one of those things where he learned from George Lucas, and he still relies heavily on that information that he got from him to do all of his projects. So
Yeah.
yeah,
The Joy says he's basically a Jimbo with a blaster.
yeah, kind of,
Yeah. Yep.
kind of,
Let's say that. Yep, for sure.
yeah, yep.
Let's see. I did want to briefly talk about the music. Um, the score was done by Ludwig Göransson. I hope I'm pronouncing that right.
Ludwig,
Yeah, Ludwig. Ludwig. I know I got that
Ludwig
right.
Göransson, yeah.
But yeah, the music. I think Tina had mentioned earlier in the chat that the music was excellent, and it is.
Hmm.
The music was very good, and a soundtrack album was released on November 12th, actually. So the music too, it was just perfect for the show.
Hmm.
Agreed. Yeah, took the words right out of my mouth. Mando theme is iconic now.
Hmm.
Absolutely. And apparently there was a limited edition consisting of 8 CDs released on August 24th, 2020. Do you have that? Limited
No,
edition soundtrack?
I think I downloaded some songs from The Mandalorian on my thing and that sort of thing, but I don't have that album.
I wonder if it's possible to still get that. Let's find out. It was put out by a company called mondoshop.com. Sold out, of course. At least on their website, sold out. That does not surprise me one bit that it's sold out.
Yeah.
But let's see if it's on Amazon, just out of curiosity.
Or eBay.
Yeah, not on Amazon. Not a big surprise, to be honest. All right, let's see what it's going for. Holy hell!
I can only imagine.
Okay, I am going to sort it by lowest price first. Yeah, that did not help. Lowest amount you're going to get this for is $300.
Jesus Christ.
But it's limited edition.
But
it's
a limited edition, and I have to charge a lot of money for it because I probably didn't pay crap for it. But I know I'm going to charge people hundreds and thousands of dollars to get it back.
Here you go. I'm going to show it to you.
Sorry. Huh?
No, you're good.
Yeah. Okay.
So there it is, $300. It's got this cool little Mudhorn signet on it.
Mm-hmm.
It's got 8 discs, one for each chapter.
I got something similar to that.
That's pretty cool.
I actually got these pins from Disney. Got a little dust on. Hang on.
That's pretty cool. Anyway, yeah. So if you got $300 to burn,
there you go. Yeah, metal pins.
Pretty cool. I've got a hoodie with the Mythosaur skull on it.
Yeah, I've got one that has I got a couple ones. I got like one that says "This is the way" with a Mandalorian helmet on it. I actually have the Moff Gideon helmet, but I also have the Mandalorian helmet in the other room. And I have, like I said, I have the life-size 1/1 scale of Grogu in the other room. So
let's see. I had some other notes on here. It won some awards. I'm trying to find those. They weren't like any.
now you may have mentioned it, and maybe I missed it, but we did forget a very important character that was introduced that we forgot to mention.
Did we?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. At least I didn't. You might have mentioned it, and I didn't forgot or whatever. IG-11.
No, I mentioned him.
Oh, okay. You mentioned him. Okay. IG-11.
Yeah, Taika Waititi did the voice for him.
Did the voice? Yeah, but yeah. So I mean, talk about the IG-11 for a minute, because we got introduced to one of that type of droid in Empire Strikes Back.
Barely.
Not specifically in specifically in IG-11, but yeah, we barely got introduced to one that didn't do a whole lot. Its head moved a little bit, and that was about it. But when you actually get into this show, you see what those droids are actually capable of and what they can do, and that was crazy. I thoroughly enjoyed the IG-11. I was like, hell yeah, that's the droid that I want. I want a repurposed IG-11 that helps me out. That would be my droid. If I could get that in Twilight of Vakanta, I think I'd be doing pretty good.
So interesting that you bring that up. After this campaign is done, whenever that might be,
whenever,
I am planning on doing another campaign that is going to be set in this time period, the Mando time period. So could be interesting. What are freedom dollars, Bear? I guess he's talking about US dollars.
Yeah.
I was going to mention some awards. It did win 2 Emmy Awards. One for Outstanding Production Design for a Narrative Program.
Probably for the volume.
And then outstanding sound editing for a comedy or drama series. Um, the only other award I see that it won was a motion picture sound editors award for outstanding achievement in sound editing. So,
Okay.
yeah.
I mean, not to throw shade. I'm not throwing. That's not me throwing shade on anybody, but it's like that show deserves so much better, so much more.
Yeah.
Not to throw shade on sound people, because I mean that's part of it. Getting the
Yeah.
sounds correct, getting
Yeah.
everything melded in. That's all important stuff. I'm not throwing shade on it in any way, shape, form, or fashion. But it
Should have won
definitely
a lot more.
deserved. It should have won a lot more. It should have lot more. Should have won a lot more for just the amount of work they put into it, the technology that went into it, just the sheer how the show went. It should have gotten a lot more.
So Bear mentioned here in the chat something that I kind of wanted to wrap things up with, kind of, but we can do it now. The Mandalorian does explore a lot of different elements of Star Wars. You have the droids,
Mm-hmm.
you have the Mandalorians, you have the bounty hunters. It dives into what happened to people in the Empire after the Empire was gone.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you get more elements like I mentioned earlier. You get a bunch of planets that you'd never heard of before. So I think that it's very important to recognize that Favreau and Filoni chose to not rehash already known quantities as far as locations.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Well, and that's the one thing about it too is that's the one thing about it too is that him being a Mandalorian and him hiding out, it gave the show a perfect opportunity to explore other places and to other
yeah,
locations and to see more of the universe and not be held back by like rules and restrictions, because of the Mandalorians they could do anything, and
right.
they weren't held by the same rules,
They
so it left a lot
recognized
of.
that there was a huge, vast galaxy, and what we had seen in the movies was very limited.
Was a small fraction,
It
yeah.
was a very small fraction. Because
Hmm.
I mean, he could have the ice planet. It could have been Hoth, uh, Navarro, Navarro, and Arvala 7. Either one of those could have been Tatooine.
Hmm.
They could have went back to what we know. They chose to delve deeper into the galaxy and show us how much more vast it was.
Yeah,
And
yeah. And
uh,
the thing about it too is that this is something I've spoke about when I talk about like Star Wars and something and things that have been going on, as far as like the different shows, the different content, the different types of content, the exploring new ideas in Star Wars and things like that. Was this show kind of gave the plat gave the is kind of how do I want to say it? Kind of gave the red light for them to do that, because people saw what they did with it and they went, yeah, that's cool. I want to see more stuff like that where we get to see a broader spectrum of the Star Wars universe. Now, obviously, in some cases, it hasn't always worked out for him. In some cases, it's been heavily criticized, blah, 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 blah. But for The Mandalorian, especially in the very first episode, you go from an ice planet to a desert planet to a planet that had the Mandalorians hiding out on it. Three different places that we didn't have any idea, but people follow the context of the story. They see what's going on. They're invested in the character, blah, blah, blah. Things just keep moving along, and people are like, yes, I want more. I want more of that. And it was a very cool kicking off point for that kind of thing in Star Wars, which was needed, which was saturation and getting more things out there about the Star Wars universe that didn't include the Skywalkers, the Jedi, the Sith, things like that. You got to tap into a whole new world and a whole new set of stories within that universe that told and talked about those legends, but you have people that are interacting from the outside looking in, or having to deal with their own lives and their own way of doing things. And the Mandalorians were something that was sorely needed to expand upon. I mean, sorely needed it because they're just such a cool, awesome group of people, and there's so many stories to tell for them. It's an awesome new faction. Or not new. I say new. At the time, there were people who didn't know about the Mandalorians, and they didn't know a lot about them other than what they saw in, like, from Boba Fett or like the Clone Wars TV show.
Yeah.
So for a lot of new viewers that had never known Star Wars or wasn't that deep into it and didn't, like, say they didn't watch the Clone Wars, they only watched the prequels and they saw Jango Fett. They watched the original trilogy and they saw Boba Fett. They didn't really know who those people were. For your average, like, normies, which we're not normies, but for your normies, it really brought a lot of new people into it because of how cool and the way that the Mandalorian was presented, even from the first episode.
Yeah.
Yes, and the cameos throughout the series, I mean, not just the first one, but throughout the series, it was awesome.
Yeah.
And even seeing the Razor Crest having its own chamber for carbon freezing. That was freaking awesome.
That was cool.
That was cool to see that. It was a cool kickback to Empire Strikes Back because you hadn't even thought about it or seen it before that. And then all of a sudden you saw that and you're going, oh my God, that's awesome. That he had his own carbon freezing chamber. That's great.
Yeah.
And you can't talk about it and not, that's something that's always been a thing about the show, is the fact that he hated droids, and he had a very good reason for hating droids. And that's one thing that's always been the Star Wars thing, is droids, but also the ships. And the Razor Crest was just freaking awesome. Awesome
really
ship.
Yeah.
It was an outstanding, awesome ship. It was a great ship. It looked cool. It looked cool flying. It was just, it wasn't fancy. It wasn't polished. It wasn't clean, but it looked like something that he would fly. And it was just cool to see it in the context of the show. And when you saw it for the first time in the show, it was like, that thing looks cool. And really, honestly, the first thing that I thought of when I saw it was I thought of one of the clone troop carriers, the ships from Attack of the Clones. I thought that's what it was at the beginning. It was something pertaining to that, like a heavily modified version of it. But it turns out it was actually its own class of ship that might have been a byproduct design of those ships. But yeah, Tina, I agree. I love the Razor Crest, and I have the HasLab Razor Crest in the other room. So yeah, love the Razor Crest.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's not in the first episode.
I did like him too, Tina. He was pretty awesome. He did a real good job. But yeah, that wasn't in that episode.
He was.
Wrong. Completely wrong episode.
So let's take a couple of minutes and talk about legacy. As we mentioned earlier, the third season was kind of divisive. But just based off of season 1 and really chapter 1, what are your thoughts on the legacy of the show itself?
I think it left a good, lasting impression for a lot of newcomers to Star Wars, first off. I think that when it first came out, before we saw other stuff, I think that it really sparked not only new people the most, which was the exciting part of it, which is the bringing in the new people to Star Wars and introducing them to the Star Wars universe through the Mandalorian, and through that first episode, they saw how cool it could be, and it wasn't just kiddie stuff. It wasn't just people playing with toy light staffs and scary dudes 7 foot tall with black masks on, and it wasn't child's play. It was actually like, no, this is legitimate, like, Western action, space, sci-fi for adults kind of stuff. It's not just for kids. It's not, Star Wars isn't just for kids. And I think you can sell that pretty much in the first episode because of the way things went, because of even just the bar scene. When people got shown the bar scene, they're like, whoa, wait a minute, this is Star Wars? What the hell is this?
Yeah.
And then for people who are already fans, you went and went, oh yeah, this is something, even for like me. who's been around since the beginning. It was something I looked at and I went, okay, wow, this is actually going to be a TV show that we're going to get to watch on the small screen. And this is what they're bringing to the table. It's like it knocked it out of the park. And I'm like, I'm excited. It got people excited again for Star Wars. It got people into, I mean, not only The Force Awakens did, the discussion about The Last Jedi was obviously it was divisive for some people.
Yeah.
And, they say it split the fandom 50-50, but I don't think it was quite as bad as what they're trying to make it out to be. But when it came to The Mandalorian, it was like, okay, yeah, The Last Jedi was a little rough, but here we got this show coming out called The Mandalorian, and it looks badass. And I'm excited again. Yeah, canonically free. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
So yeah, I mean that is all good points. There was for a temporary amount of time, it did kind of heal some of the divide in the Star Wars fandom. It didn't last. That did not last.
Yeah.
But there was an article that I wrote for Future of the Force. Actually, it was the very first article that I wrote for them. Came out after was the first season over with by then? Probably. Yeah, I don't remember. It may have been over. Anyway, the name of the article was "Why the Mandalorian Will Save Star Wars."
Mm-hmm.
I will put a link to that in the show description so you can read it at your leisure. Bear makes a good point. He did so well, it became the newest standard to compare other projects to.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely in regards to season 1 and season 2, it definitely set a high bar.
Oh yeah, well, and that's always been my discussion with people about season 3 of Mando. Is that after the Luke Skywalker thing in season 2, I don't know. I can't think of anything off the top of my head that season 3 could have done that would have topped that. So they kind of, it's almost like playing your cards too early or too soon in a poker game. They played their hand. They did well. It did good. But when they did that and then they come into season 2 and they go through and they continue, it's like it ended on such a high. It ended on such a high for people. And then when season 3 came out, it was like, well, this is kind of mediocre because we ended on such a good note. How are we gonna make it better? And I don't necessarily think that it was bad. I don't think there was anything really wrong with the show. It was just that after you saw the gold standard that was the ending of season 2 and throughout the entire season 2, it was like, this I don't know why we did this, blah blah blah. It would have been better if they'd have done season 3 first, season 3 was season 2 and season 2 was season 3. I think.
Yeah,
I know
I get you.
I know that might be confusing in the story context, but it would have been cool if they'd have ended the show and the series on that note, and then maybe like the Mandalorian and Grogu movie would have addressed that in a different way or something to that effect.
Yeah.
But I mean, obviously, like I said, the context of the story, you couldn't do that because of the way the stories were written. But anyway, yeah. So, I mean, but yeah, like you said, the legacy of it is that everything is compared to the Mandalorian season 1 now when it comes to the show. Well, it's not Mandalorian season 1 or 2 because Mandalorian season 1 or 2 are great. It's not Rogue One because Rogue One was great. And they always talk about it and they're like, oh, well, as far as Disney Star Wars is concerned, it's not this, it's not that, blah, 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 blah. It's like, well, yeah. I get where you're going. I get where you're going with that because they were such awesome and well done shows.
They were.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's all we got. Do you have any final thoughts on chapter 1 of The Mandalorian?
It's still part of my rewatches every year, and I love to watch it every time. I still get good feels about it every time I see it. When we do our rewatch, whenever we come up to that point and you see it, I always remember about how I felt about it when I first watched it, and I will hopefully everybody else feels the same way, and it will continue to be a must staple for any time we talk about Star Wars or talk about like I said, anytime you talk about um, rewatches or marathons or Star Wars, Mandalorian and Baby Grogu will always be part of the conversation. And it all started with episode 1.
Yeah. I must have missed this. But yeah, Luke showing up kicking ass. Definitely. The Luke we never got to see. Yeah, I rewatch at least this first season. I rewatch fairly often. Of the show, it's as great as it is. It is a great show. It is actually still my second favorite Star Wars TV product, but it only misses number one by a very minute amount. But it is amazing, and it is definitely what got me back into Star Wars. Got me. I was a Star Wars fan, but this one really upped to the ante, so to speak. Well, that's all we've got for tonight. Thanks everybody for tuning in. And for those of you listening on audio, thanks for tuning in there. If you are watching us on YouTube, make sure you subscribe, like, comment, all that good stuff. I believe next week we are going to be talking about Rebuild the Galaxy.
Some Lego shows.
Some Lego stuff. So,
and hey, for those of you, I have homework for you people.
Homework
for you people. Homework for you in the chat. For you in the chat tonight. If you're on our Discord, if you're not on our Discord, please join our Discord. You'll find that in amongst our links. But for those of you who are in the Discord, which I think most of you are, we really would appreciate some feedback from you folks as far as what you think of us changing the format, what you think about tonight's show as far as not playing music, as far as maybe some things and suggestions that you might have that we could talk about or we could do add as part of the show since we're not doing music anymore. Are you enjoying this version of Rebel Rock Radio? We really kind of want to hear from you folks because we really enjoy criticism. Either way, we're not worried about we want to hear constructive criticism from you folks and from our listeners and our patrons, especially, so if you get a chance, kind of reflect on what happened tonight and let us know your thoughts and feelings and let us know what you think and throw some suggestions our way if you have them. We'd appreciate it.
Absolutely. All right, so we will see you next week, and I guess that's it. We'll see you next week.
Have a great evening, everybody.
Have a great one, and have a great week, and may the force be with you.